Hey, welcome back everybody to Insanity Check Radio. I am Skillosaurus, that's Ken, and 8 over there on the boards, as you said, in the shadows. And this is Insanity Check Radio. And we can be found at our Twitter page at Insanity Check 12, our Facebook page, which is Insanity Check, our Google Plus page, our Google Plus circles and channel and all that good stuff, Insanity Check Radio. And since I only get one applause, I got to save it for the last one. And you can see all of this content in its enhanced version on our YouTube page, Insanity Check Radio.
Everybody good? You guys are fixed?
You got to love it, man. You got to love it. You got to love it.
So, yes.
I was just going to say, when you sent this particular thing to me, I think you should send this to that dude that you was having a comment battle with, that said there's no more racism in America, because apparently...
no, that wasn't exactly what he said. A gentleman commented on the story we did last week about...
the chicken wing fiasco.
Right, the group of blacks that were denied access to a chicken shack
the wild
for a wing dinner. He contends that there was more to the story, that there was actually an altercation with one of the white patrons with one or more of the black individuals in question, and then it was at that point that the white person was basically shook and afraid, and that's when they confronted the blacks about leaving.
And the reason I don't buy that, well, if you look at the comments of the manager, that would have been, if that actually took place, that would have been a perfect reason for the manager to excuse that particular party, and they would have used that as a reference.
But now, if I remember correctly, and I might not be remembering correctly, all of that stuff was from the actual one of the members of the group, the black group. All of those. Was the manager actually interviewed?
Well, see, it sounded like they would that was what they recorded on their camera phone. Remember, because they was recording the whole thing, and that person was like, "Are you recording this?" Yes.
Right.
So I figured, whether you're recording or not, if you are starting a fight with a patron that's already, in the establishment, then that would be my reason for telling you not to come in. I mean, you're bothering my guests, which that never came up. So, whatever, be that as it may.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. Like, even if what this guy say is true, which it could very well be. Let's say it is true. Does that mean that this scenario is impossible to happen in this country in this day and age? Absolutely not. Which now brings us to our current story, which is actually a continuation of a story we did months ago. If you remember, where it was the school system being changed to religious. Remember, they didn't want. I forgot what fucking state it was. But they wanted to teach creationism.
Oh, yeah.
They were stopping. The kids had now the option to not learn science.
Yeah.
And to learn creationism. But anyway, this is pretty much, almost as bad.
The title of this is, Texas approves renaming slave trade as Atlantic Triangular Trade. The Texas Board of Education's conservative member went on the deep end. As one of the largest buyers of textbooks in the country, the board changed and rewrote the history books. Smaller states who have no textbooks buying power would essentially have to read and study the new Texas versions of history. The changes are ideological and distort history, but conservative Board of Education argue they are correcting a long-standing liberal bias in education. Read the running history of this very interesting cultural war, blah, 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 and they gave the link there if you want the details. It says, one of the most controversial changes is to deny the slave trade. The Texas Board of Education wants to refer to the slave trade as the Atlantic Triangular Trade. The author's like, what the hell is this? The Atlantic Triangular Trade. So, before I even get into the rest of this is, when they said rewrite history, right then and there, that should be the big telltale. You can't rewrite history. That's the thing about history. It's there. You can't go back unless you have a TARDIS or something like that and change it. It's not possible. So, when you think of the slave trade and you think of the whole thing about Thomas Jefferson, you think about what people fought for during the civil rights era, you know, about the whole thing about the you know, Jim Crow days and all that kind of stuff. If you think about abolitionists, Abraham Lincoln, you know, they were all trying to basically correct what they felt were wrongs and ills of society that dealt with slaves, not triangulars. You know, I don't know what a triangular is. It sounds like something from I don't know, trigonometry class or whatever the hell. I don't know. I don't know what that is, and to me, that's insulting. And who, if I'm a parent, and my child, even if I was a white parent, and my child came home with something like this, it's not historically correct. It's glossing over and literally whitewashing over a period that, you know, doesn't need to be revisited in a negative way as far as in trying to recreate it, but it cannot be forgotten because that is a part of this particular country's history. You know, so I'm just surprised that something like this was even able to be passed.
I'm not.
You have to be. I mean, this is ridiculous.
But I mean, the reason why I'm not surprised.
In an era with a black president, even though he's not really black, you know, well, whatever, you know. I don't know.
Listen, first of all, this is you know, this is state shit, so you know, states have some modicum of independence. Secondly, if you have whole regions where people believe shit like this, you know, it's kind of like just a matter of time. If they have the power, they can institute, you know, certain things which will domino effect into certain things, and before you know it, you have whole landscapes where, you know, or generations who don't know what really happened, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I just want to go through some of this stuff really quick because there's several things in here that they changed, and even though
they changed it to the which is still just bullshit. Okay, finally they changed it and called it the Transatlantic Slave Trade.
Yeah, there's an update to the article where
which is good, but the point is not the update, is the fact that they would even have thought to try to
that's what I'm
pass
saying.
this
Well, that's
in
what
the
I'm
first
saying.
place.
So capitalism. This is some of the things that they either changed and, you know, eventually have to change back, or changed and kept. But this is what they wanted to do. Capitalism can only be referred to as free enterprise system, largely because of the negative connotations of the word capitalism. The board diminished Thomas Jefferson's role in history because of his belief in the separation of church and state. Students also are required to learn that America's founding documents were influenced by various intellectual traditions, especially biblical law, and principles laid down by Moses. By fucking Moses. Moses, who, by the way, if you people read your Bible, killed women and children at the command of your
And wasn't
God.
he big pimping?
Oh yeah, well again, you know, the Israelites did shit like, you know, after they fucking sacked a town or whatever that, you know, God told them was their promised land. Any women that were managed to escape,
They were basically the spoils, right?
well, yeah, but see, the Israelites laid in wait in the bushes, literally in the forest. So when these women came through, whichever one they liked, like a, you know, a nice ripe melon in a grocery store, you snatched them up, and that was now your bitch.
And you
To
killed the
fuck
rest,
and-
right?
Yeah. Any
If they were not of childbearing
right,
age.
any female who was not of childbearing age, you just killed them.
Which could be
But
a
demanded by-
child or the elderly. Think of it.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
So if you were like a minor, or you getting the Hassan chop, and if you were a granny, you getting your neck broke. So,
And again, this is in the Bible, ladies and gentlemen, but we're going off the topic here. Yes, it's funny you made this comparison. It was kind of like Iran, only it would be the right Christian side. Social conservatives, creationists, and religious fanatics who dominate the Texas State Board of Education. Is what I'm saying. When you have enough people believe in shit, you get things done. Want to redefine the Constitution as an explicitly Christian document and highlight the role of God in the establishment of the U.S. Okay. The board approved dropping references to landmark cases that barred schools from segregating Mexican-American students. Joseph McCarthy's campaign against suspected communists is now to be toned down, like McCarthy was just a curious senator. The amendment also cast the United Nations in a critical light, with students asked to evaluate whether the UN and its committees undermine U.S. sovereignty. The tune of students would be required to learn the unintended consequences of the Title IX affirmative action and the Great Society, and would need to study conservative icons like Phyllis Shapley and the Heritage Foundation and the Moral Majority. Again, note, would have to. These would be mandates of this thing.
This is actually funny. The next line, maybe we should add that Hussein has weapons of mass destruction, so we had to spend trillions on an unnecessary war in Iraq. Not to ever make it. I like this author's particular twist on words.
In fact, in the transcription of the board discussions, they specifically did not want to include President George Bush's controversial 2000 election outcome, nor the election of the first African-American black President Obama. So,
wait a second. That shit's stupid. Wait. I gotta read that. I gotta read that for myself. I gotta read it slow. You gotta watch it. In fact, in the transcripts of the board discussions, they specifically did not want to include President George W. Bush's controversial 2000 election outcome, nor the election of the first African-American President, Barack Obama. They wanted to ignore
the current president.
The current president. So who was that dude that can stop everything and have these addresses? Who is that dude?
That's a well-tanned
Negus.
Yeah, I guess.
Very good. Very good.
I guess that's what it is.
Very good.
Because I'm like, yo, how are you gonna explain? This is ridiculous.
Now, I will say, in defense of white America, it says more than 1,200 historians and college faculty members from across the nation have signed a petition calling the standards academically shoddy. At the very least, it's academically shoddy.
Yeah.
The Texas Board of Education voted today, this week, and approved all of the changes. And again, now after that, apparently something happened and there was an update, and again, at least the Transatlantic Slave Trade title was restored.
Yeah. You got to put slave in there somewhere.
Yeah. The Judeo-Christian influences of the nation's founding fathers will be taught, but not highlight the philosophical rationale for the separation of church and state. Curriculum standards also will describe the U.S. government as a constitutional republic rather than a democratic.
Whoa, that's not bad. I like that. I actually like that. Because
and students will be required
to the republic. So,
right,
yeah.
right. And students will be required to study the decline in value of the U.S. dollar, including the abandonment of the gold standard. Yeah, that's not bad.
Well, this sort of sounds like, this sounds like a hodgepodge of like those radical, like prepper, patriot kind of people. That's what this literally sounds like, one of their doctrines. For the people out there that don't know, that the guys that are like the American militia type guys that are self-taught a lot of times, heavily into Christianity, big time. This sounds like something. I would like to look into this a little bit more, because that's by calling it a republic, that really keyed that for me in my brain. So,
and they also students should evaluate efforts by global organizations to undermine U.S. sovereignty, such as threats by the UN General Assembly, the International Criminal Court, the UN gun ban proposal, forced redistribution of American wealth to the third world countries, and global environmental initiatives.
Oh, hell yeah. This is definitely on some of that shit. This is definitely...
So basically, the UN, who supposedly is trying to help the world, by helping the world, you're diminishing our sovereignty. The International Criminal Courts, where, people like George Bush could be tried for his war crimes, that's undermining U.S. sovereignty. The UN gun ban proposal, because we all need our guns here, that's undermining U.S. sovereignty.
Yeah, this sounds like some supremacist shit.
Forced redistribution of American wealth to third world countries. We don't want to give up our shit because we really don't care about anybody else. That's our prerogative, I guess. And that apparently undermines U.S. sovereignty. And global environmental initiatives. Because the United States is not actually on the globe. So, if global warming is real and, we're about to be flooded by, the melting of Antarctica, that's not our problem, because we don't live here.
Well, I think you need to read a little bit further down about the numerous attempts to add the names of or references to important Hispanics throughout history also were denied, inducing one amendment that would specify that Tejanos died at the Alamo alongside Davy Crockett and Jim Bowie. Another amendment deleted a requirement that sociology students explain how institutional racism is evident in American society.
Yeah, that's something I didn't feel like getting into. That gentleman who commented on the chicken story. Yeah, I don't think he would even understand nor care about institutionalized racism.
Well, I mean, maybe he probably is one of the people that voted for this because that's
Right, probably.
that's a this is sounding a lot like. This is sounding a lot like those white supremacist militia people. That's what this sounds like. Seriously, this has that imprint all over it.
But except it's the Texas government.
Yeah. This is frightening. But you know what? I guess in one respect, this is for the people that believe that we are still free. Excuse me. Sorry, that we are still free. They might cite that, in a country where you have the First Amendment, the ability to actually, propose things like this is a good thing.
I was just telling this cat last night about that. His words were, we at least, we still have the ability to question and protest our government. I was like, no, we don't. No, we don't. We're led to believe that we do, but no, we don't.
So that's why I chuckled. I mean, this is a very interesting article. It's a very interesting article. I mean, this is something that, if people can comment on Artie butt blasting dogs, they should be able to comment on something like this.
Well, let's see. All you butt blasters out there of the canines, what do you think about this story? Let us know. Sit on that, literally, and we'll be right back.
We're trying to make it.